Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. And with the recent release of the Lego Simpsons Krusty Burger, after 10 years of no Lego Simpsons set, we finally got another one. So I thought it was fitting to take a look at the Lego Simpsons house, given set number 71006, and this set contains 2,523 pieces and retailed for $200 USD. Now adjusted for inflation, that is $270. Now, unfortunately, I do not have the box on this set, so we won't be able to take a look at it. So let's dive right into the figures. Starting off with Homer. Now, I just want to say these Simpsons figures are amazing with their exclusive head molds, but you can see he has some light blue pants and an exclusive torso print with his work outfit, even though he barely works, and his head mold is just amazing. However, he does have some lazy eyes, which I guess is fitting from him coming home from work, but unfortunately, it doesn't look the best. Here's a look at the back, and you can see some backhand printing. Next up is Bart, who unfortunately falls victim to the not all the way open eyes, and I think it looks really weird. He has some very nice dual molded legs with the blue shorts and blue shoes combo. Unfortunately, his shirt is the wrong color. It should be orange, but he has dual molded arms, which look very nice, and his head mold altogether is fantastic, even though it has weird looking eyes. Here's a look at the back of the head, and you can just see how spiky this thing is and how impressive the mold is. Moving on to his accessory, which is the skateboard, which looks very good. You can see there's some red striping on it and purple wheels, and it looks fantastic. And of course, you can put Bart on there and move them back and forth. Next up is Marge, and she looks very nice. And you can see she has a cloth piece, which is just a pain to get on, and some really nice torso printing, and a very impressive head mold. Here's a look at the skirt piece, which is just really, really hard to get on. And unfortunately, it is really hard. You can see here me just trying to put it on, and the white on the apron doesn't even match up correct. I don't know how to fix this or what to do. It's just very, very unfortunate. I'm not sure how they would fix this though. As I said before, her head mold is just fantastic, with her hair being amazing. It's just so incredible. Unfortunately, her eyes are half open, which again looks very weird. I don't know why they had to make it different from the CMF series. Here's the back printing, which looks very nice. You can see the back of the apron strap. Next up is Lisa, who looks fantastic. Now, I do have the wrong eyes on her, just realizing this. But you can see she has some nice torso printing with the pearl necklaces and another skirt piece. However, I like this one more than Mara just because it goes on better. She has a very nice accessory, which is an A plus on her test, and she has a backpack accessory. Now, next up is Maggie, who is very, very interesting with two exclusive molds to this figure. The first exclusive mold is the body, which I'm not sure how I feel about it, but it is impressive. And she has an accessory, which is a green thing from the power plant, and her head is very nice. Next up is Ned Flanders, and this is a great figure. His eyes are open all the way, by the way, which looks very nice. His apron printing is just very nice. Now, I'm glad they didn't give him a cloth piece like Marge for the apron, but this is just fantastic. It says "Hail to the Chef," and his head mold is very impressive once again with that big brown mustache. Here's a look at the back of the torso, which is nothing more than just an apron strap. Here's the first accessory we're going to take a look at, and this is none other than Ned Flanders' wagon. You can see there's a sticker that says "Property of Ned Flanders," which is really cool. You find that a lot in this set. And you can hook Marge up right to it and just, walk her back and forth, which is really cool. There's a lot of clutter in this set, but I do like it. Next up is a chair. Now, there's actually two in this set, but we don't need to take a look at two. It is red and it looks very nice, and you can just kind of adjust it how you'd like, fold it up and down. And yeah, this is a very cool little side build. The next accessory is Ned Flanders grill. And this is just fantastic. I love this accessory so much. You can open it to find the grill itself, which looks very nice. And it is orange and yellow, a rather odd color scheme for a grill. And you can see the sticker I was talking about. Next up is the Simpsons mailbox, which is nothing really that special. No prints or anything, and unfortunately couldn't put any mail inside of it. However, it is a cool inclusion. And you can just kind of adjust that flag thing if you want or not, have it up or down, which is neat that it allows you to do that. The next side build is Bart's skate ramp, which is not part of the Simpsons house, but it's really cool to see here. Now this is very cool because we have the El Barto sticker, and of course, you can drive Bart up and down on this. Now, by far the best side build is the Simpsons car, particularly Homer's car, which is amazing, especially for the time this came out. It is pretty basic, but that doesn't stop it from being pretty amazing and accurate. Here's a look at the car itself, and you can see it is the iconic pink color. Here's a look at the bump that's on the actual Simpsons car, and you can see it's flat, studded off, and you can see the license plates, which I'm not sure if it actually says that on the show, but you can see how they kind of enclose the tires in there, which looks very nice and simple. There is a door unlike the one on the Krusty Burger, and you can open that up. And there is a back hatch. Now you can open this up and put some accessories in there. I have a suitcase in there right now, which is very cool. You can put that green power plant thing in there. And you got to get it ready to close all the way. But yeah, and here's a look at the radio, which is a really cool inclusion. Of course, Homer has a radio in his car, and there's a steering wheel and a little lever. On the box, it shows that you can put 4 Simpsons minifigures in here, which just does not work. It's really cluttered. And here, you can see that the top is open in order for Marge to have her hair. Here's a look at the bottom of the car and the back. And you can see it's just very nice. Moving on to the Simpsons house itself, this model is nothing but incredible. Yes, a little outdated, but that doesn't mean it's incredible. Taking a look at the garage, you can separate it from the main Simpsons house, and you can see that that just connects through Technic. And here's the garage itself, which looks very nice. You can see there is an advanced technique for the time of 2014 with that window piece and the snap bricks, which looks very nice. You'll find that throughout this build a little bit. Unfortunately, the roof is at a weird angle. I'm not sure why they did that. Probably to close off the top, but it just does not look that nice. Here's a look at the back with that same technique for the window. However, there's nothing else in the back. Here is a green bush that you'll find on the side of the model, which is a very nice inclusion. It looks like it's straight out of the world from The Simpsons, which is fantastic. And here's a look at the entrance to the garage. Now, there are 2 ways to get to the garage. One would be opening the garage door, which is very nice. I'm really glad that you can do this. And of course, here's a look at the interior, and you can also take the roof panels off. A similar thing that you'll find in all the other roof panels are detachable. Here's a look at the interior of the model. Here's a look at the back of the roof, and you can just kind of see how that works. It just sits on that white piece, and you can see you can just drive Homer's car in there, and it fits very nicely with a lot of space left over on the inside. And that is just really cool that it allows you to do that. You can see you can still get some minifigures walking around in there. Moving on to the garage interior itself, you can see there is a little broom right here and a little workbench for Homer or whoever wants to work. Well, you can actually detach these accessories, which is very nice. Here are the accessories itself. Now here is the little, I guess, tool rack and spray paint rack. Now, this little cubby can open with nothing inside, and there's some tools here, and there are some hanging tools up top. Now, there are some spray canisters, which you can remove and have Bart holding, which is very cool and fun that you can do that. Now, you can actually detach this if you want to. It doesn't show you doing this in the box, but I'm sure you can, like, it doesn't stopping you. And it's cool if you just don't want that for some reason. Moving on to the workbench, this is another cool inclusion. However, it is very basic, made up of a few pieces. Now, of course, you can put Homer here working on something. Not really that he does that in the actual show, but you can see there is a red toolbox included, which unfortunately cannot open, but it is okay. Now, the garage itself is very simple compared to the actual house, and let's get this out of the way and take a look at that. Of course, you can connect it. But here is the house itself, and this is just amazing. Of course, it could be improved by today's standards, but just look at the size of this thing. This thing is so impressive. Here's a look at the front of the house, which is nothing short of amazing. Here's a look at the windows that protrude from the house, which is very cool how they did that. But yeah, the Simpsons house just looks amazing. Here is the front walkway and stairs up to the door, and you can see the door there with the grass on the side. It looks very nice, and you can put Homer up there just standing there if you want. Now, it is really cool how they did the windows, but unfortunately those top 3 pieces do not look the best. I think it should be rounded off. Unfortunately, it does not. You can see the bottom, how they kind of looks like it's holding up the window, which looks very nice. And up top, you can see the same technique which was used on the garage for the windows, which is very cool to see. You have the same window build on the other side, and you have some grass on the side, or bushes. But yeah, that's really cool. It really just brings this house to life. You can see there's a little antenna up top. However, mine is missing a few pieces, so just ignore that. And there is a chimney off to the side, which is a really cool build, and it's really cool how that opens up. Here's another grass piece, and here's a look at the interior of the model from the entranceway of the garage. Here's a look at the AC unit, which is very funny because it says property of Ned Flanders, which is just hilarious. I'm really glad that they used that sticker multiple times. Here's a look at the back, and you see some windows again. The back is very simple, I will say, but you won't be seeing the back that much. Here's some more windows, and the back patio, and a door and window. And here's a look at the top doors. Now, you can put a lot, if not all, the Simpsons characters on this patio, which is really cool for like a hangout spot. You can put some of the accessories or have a cookout with Ned Flanders. Here are these Simpsons figures on it, and of course the door opens. Now, opening it on up, you can see it just clips together. Oop, we got a hairbrush. But it just clips together like that, and opening it on up, you can see the interior is just massive. There's so many rooms and so many details. You can see that clip piece again that I was talking about. Here's the door, or one of the doors. And the first room I'm going to be taking a look at is part of the living room, but it is the piano room, I guess, pretty much. You can see all the rooms are tied off, which is a negative and a positive because you can't display the figures in there, and a lot of the stuff just slides around. The piano itself is a very cool thing, and you can see it just detaches really easily. Taking a look at the piano itself, it is very cool with the purple color scheme. You can see that little bench piece right there, which is nothing special. I really wish they attached somehow, but the piano is just amazing. You can have Lisa sitting on the bench. Moving on to the kitchen. The kitchen is 2 rooms actually, but when you put them together, it makes one big kitchen. And you can see all the kitchen accessories here with some cabinets, some drawers, and some kitchen tools. And for one, you have a frying pan and a little cupcake piece, a little blender, and 2 coffee mugs, which is really cool to see. Just look at those top 2 cabinets. And there is a table and chairs included. However, it is very hard to get everything to stay in there, and it slides down, which we'll talk about later. Here's the other part of the kitchen, which I like the other part a little bit better. You can see that doorway again, but you have a little stove, or is that an oven? I don't know. But yeah, there's some more drawers, and I'm not sure what that is up top. And here is the table I was talking about, and you can just put that over here as well. Now, when you close that up and you move it around, it just gets all over the place. You're going to have to open it up and just redo everything, unfortunately. It all falls over, which is very sad. Really, really do wish that this attached somehow. You can just see it's a very tedious process to get all this stuff in. And there isn't even any room. Like, what the heck? How are you going to get your figures in there? Here's the chair build itself, which is okay. I just really wish it attached. I don't understand what they were thinking. Now, the table build itself is pretty lackluster, being not accurate to the show. The show has like more of an oval-shaped table, but I understand they're doing it for room purposes. Moving on to the most iconic room of the Simpsons house, which is none other than the living room. And you can see there is really no space in here for you to move around. So what this set actually allows you to do is take this top section off. And you can just see me doing that right here. And it's very cool that I allowed you to do that for the most iconic room in the Simpsons house. And you can attach this little top part right here. Now, you can see the couch and painting, and the carpet looks fantastic. The orange carpet here with that That's a print. Yeah, that was a print. And then you have the iconic sailboat picture. Unfortunately, you can't slant it because it is attached by 2 studs, so you can't slant it, which is rather unfortunate. And you can see there, you just can't slant it, and then you just pop it back in there. Now, moving on to the couch, you can just detach it like a lot of the other stuff in this set. Now, the couch is really cool, and it's big. However, it doesn't allow you to put all these Simpsons characters on there. You can see, you can put Homer, or if you want to fit all the Simpsons characters, you're going to have to put Homer on the little armrest thing, which is pretty sad. I guess you can't actually fit all these Simpsons on there, however, it's just not practical. You can't actually fit it in the room like this. Moving on to the inside, you can see you can just place that couch back in there, and there is a little cabinet, or I don't know what you call it, but there is a little blue telephone, which is very cool. I guess that's the home phone. Moving on to the television, which is very iconic, and you have the Itchy and Scratchy show playing. Now this is just really cool. You can see the back, which is very well shaped. Here's a comparison to the one from the Dimensions pack. Now I will say I think these both are better in their own right. This one being better with the actual TV build itself, but I do like the little legs on this one better and the buttons. Overall, they're both really good, but this is a review of the Simpsons house, so let's get Dimensions out of here. You can see there is a little vacuum, which looks very nice. I'm not sure, like, there's no really place to put it. You can see you can just sweep it back and forth. Now, going on up the stairs, you can see the upper levels, which has 2 ways to access it. One being to remove all the little panels, and the other just being to open it up. However, you miss the access to some rooms. You can also detach this section like I showed before. Here is the door, or the stairway, and you can see there's paintings of Abe Simpson, Grandpa Simpson, and Maggie. Now, these actually look like from the cartoon, not from the sets. Here is Bart's room, which looks amazing. Probably my favorite and most detailed room of the house, with this little Krusty poster, which is kind of peeling off. And you have this little cabinet, which again is detachable like a lot of the other stuff. I remember that this radio is a reference to one episode. I can't remember what the episode is, but on the second level, you can see there's just some random books, and I'm not sure what that is. There's a baseball cap too. And here is Bart's bench. You can see a Radioactive Man comic, which is just amazing and really cool to see. You can see the clipboard here, which you can see some nice detailing on. Now, Bart's bed itself is very, very cool with some very nice part usages, particularly with that sausage for the lamp. And you can see you can put Bart in there, obviously. Moving on to the first section of Lisa's room. This one actually splits in 2. You can see I'm not sure why she'd really have this. She's not really obsessed with her looks like that. Would have been nice to see this being a different room. But you can see there's a hairbrush and a mirror in there. This is a vanity. Just remember that. Next up, we have the other side of Lisa's room, which has a lot of details, a lot better than the other section with this Jazz Fest poster. And we have another bookshelf, which again is detachable. Now, this bookshelf is a little bit lackluster. A lot of stuff I can't tell what it is, but there is a magnifying glass. Moving on to her bed itself, you can see there's just some little nightstands and a lamp and a coffee mug. And of course, you can put Lisa up there. And you can see combining the model together, you can see it doesn't really line up perfectly, but it kind of just, it's the same size as Bart's room, I'm pretty sure. And you can see how the doorways kind of line up when the model is all put together. Here's the bathroom, which you have to take the panels off to access. And it's really cool that they included this. I'm glad they did. It's a house. You need a bathroom. And you see there's a toilet with a very nice part usage with that car door piece. There's also a shower and, of course, a toilet and a sink. Moving on to Homer and Marge's room, which is very cool. You can see this is connected with Maggie's room. I'm not sure why, but you just separate these in their own little rooms. Maggie's room, you can put Maggie in there. Unfortunately, you can't really have her laying down. She's just standing up all the time. Moving on to Homer and Marge's room. This is just one big little piece that can detach. And you can see it's a very nice bed, which can fit both the figures. And there's 2 nightstands. One with a purse on the side, and the detailing on this is just very nice. I'm really happy with the way that this bed turned out. And of course, you can put Homer in there and Marge. Overall, this is a top tier Lego set. Doesn't get much better than this. A very iconic model, well priced, and this is one of my favorite Lego sets of all time. The Simpsons house is so iconic. I'm so glad that I have this. It's ginormous, so detailed, and it's just very cool. We definitely need more Simpsons sets. Hopefully, it's a yearly thing at the least, like the Lord of the Rings theme. Speaking of which, if you'd like to see a video with me saying the top 10 Lego Simpsons sets we need, let me know down below, because I already have the list made. So if you'd like to see that, just comment down below that you'd like to see the video. And again, this is an amazing, amazing model. However, on the retail market today, it goes around $800 new, which is very sad to see, but it was the popularity of the Simpsons theme. Alright everyone, that's going to do it for this video. Thanks for watching. See you next time.
Lego, Lego, let's create and dream. Together we will build a wondrous thing. Piece by piece we will make magic, you will see. In our Lego world